One family, one people, one planet, one love. One family, one people, one planet, one love. One family.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to SoulCall Sunday. My name is Lisa Ferrero, and we're trying to get our sound happening in the room today. Hope you can hear us from wherever you are. And if you'd like to join us in person here at AIAM, we are here, and we've got snacks, and we've got Ben Maloney in the house. It's a Jazz Sunday here at SoulCall Global. It's going to be awesome. And let us know where you're joining us from. Send a little note in the chat if you're watching us from YouTube or if you're streaming live on Facebook. We say hello and welcome. So this week is the final week of January, our last Sunday on the theme of simplicity. So we gave you how you doing with the simplicity theme, everyone out there? You're like, yeah, keeping them here. Doing it. You know, one of the weeks we were, I am an immortal, hello love, treating yourself like the immortal being that you are and opening up to possibilities, allowing yourself the time and the patience that it takes to get better at something you wanted to do this year. You know, you're going to hear Ben play the piano in a little bit at the keyboard, and you're going to recognize he probably didn't come out of the womb playing just like that, right, Ben? No, probably not. So it just takes a little time. But that intention, that direction to get what you want, it just takes that perseverance, that patience, persistence, and the joy of follow through. And then we get the rewards. So today, the final day of January for Sunday, for Sundays, the theme is going to be surrender and intuition, surrender to intuition. And we're going to explore the topic of how the great masters used intuition to get beyond linear thinking, to get beyond the sense realizations of things, to catch it from another place that is beyond thought. So we'll talk about the practice of meditation and how intuition, how you recognize things will be volleyed into your thought process that didn't come from your senses. They just offer you information that come from the infinite itself. So it's cultivating that relationship, surrendering to the one that knows all, that omniscient one. And that takes some will and some practice too. So we'll dive into that a little bit more. But first we're going to start this morning, as we start every Soul Call Sunday, with the practice of Qigong. And so we're going to invite Sifu Helen Yi to join us and enter into a practice of pulling that energy in and raising the vibrations of our being. So come on over, Helen. You can probably do it right from there.
Hi everyone, good morning. Today the practice is going to be focusing on the Ming Men point, which is the gateway of life, and it's located in the lower back between lumbar 2 and where your kidneys are. So this is an actual wonderful practice for building vitality, chi energy, and also balancing hormones, all right? It's really especially good as you get older, right? Okay, so from here, we're going to really focus our mind's attention and awareness within our bodies, feeling that vibration of subtle energy. Taking a deep breath in and letting it out. Just feeling all relaxed and calm. Now bringing your hands into the front area of the lower dantian, right where your belly button is, and just allowing your breath to continue. Breathing in, relaxing the chest, allowing the breath to sink deep into the belly. Breathing out and breathing in. Feeling all the good chi, replenishing your cells with the oxygenation of the air that we breathe in, and transforming, exhaling the energy out. From here, bring your arms down and placing your hands right where your kidneys are. And just now bring your awareness to this area of the Ming Men, again, the gateway of life. And just breathing into your kidney points and just feeling the warmth building here. And keeping your attention in this area. From here we're going to do some knocking. So just knocking on that area with the lumbar, the lower back, and just really awakening the gateway center.
We allowed to make a sound while we do this?
Sure, if you want to, if it makes you feel good. Now placing your hands again onto the kidneys, feeling them filling up with the wonderful vibration of chi energy. And now rubbing that area, just giving it a nice warm up. And then bringing your hands down, placing your feet about 2 shoulder widths apart, placing your hands on your knees, and from here you're going to twist your rib because you want to get some motion and space so that the chi can move. The chi wants to move. So from here, I want you to look behind you, twisting the ribs, and just holding for a comfortable moment. Continue to breathe into the kidneys and the Mingmen area, and then coming back to center. And then looking over the other shoulder, just really pushing in with your hands, twisting the ribs slightly. And then continue to breathe, coming back to center. Let's do that again. Start to feel really good with the twisting, opening, allowing that chi to have that space to move. Coming back to center, and then back onto the other side. You can almost feel a nice stretch also in the inner thigh area. Back to center, coming back up. And now taking this practice and taking your intention of feeling and connecting to your chi throughout the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Wonderful. Is that called outfielder pose? Come on, let's go. Thank you, Helen. It's always wonderful. Don't you just feel the energy moving now?
Yeah.
Just a wonderful practice. So we're going to take this into meditation right now with a song called All Is Well. So get yourself in a comfortable position. You go feet flat on the floor. And just feeling the space between your cells, filling it with light, a filament, that which connects that invisible energetic force field, connects our cells, connects our hearts. We open up to the infinite. We allow ourselves to use our will to surrender to the God of the universe, whatever you call that. In the presence of the One, in the presence of the truth, all is healed, all is whole, all is well, all is well. In the presence of the One, in the presence of the truth, all is healed, all is whole, all is well, all is well. In the presence of the One, in the presence of the truth, all is healed,
all is whole, all is well, all is well, all is well, all is well. Let's just take this into the silence for a few moments and meditate deeply with great attention. Oh, infinite divine beloved, we open to thy blessed presence, which in truth is all there is. Clear our minds, free our hearts, ignite our souls with divine remembrance, that in sacred surrender, your voice, the voice of truth, speaks to us through intuition. May we be divinely guided in thought, speech, and action. May my will be thy will. Om Shanti, peace, and so be it. In the presence of the One, in the presence of the Truth, all is here, all is whole, all is well, all is well. Just staying in that sweet space. We welcome Ben Maloney to the sweet space this morning. And everyone who is here, let everybody know you're in the house. Yay. All right. Brave the overcast. I'm not sure what it is out there. It's like dark. But here we are, bright and shiny. And so I picked two songs today. I typed in on social media last night, like join us for Jazz Sunday for spiritual standards, and of course Helen's like, what is a spiritual standard? It's not a Lisa and Eddie tune. They're like New Thought spiritual standards, but songs that could translate. You could sing them to a human, or you could just sing them right to the infinite itself. And so today, since we're going to be talking about surrender and intuition and simplicity, I thought these two songs would be really nice. Like once you are in that meditation zone and you have that divine realization, what a difference a day made. So that's our first song today. Just think about a time where you were working towards something and all of a sudden you got it. It seems like from yesterday to today, something happened, right? There's no difference with the infinite and that divine realization that we're all here for. It's not even what we're after. It's the only reason we're here is to experience that oneness in everything we do, always. Even when we don't feel so great, like tapping it in. So we'll share some stories about that. But first, this wonderful song that was written by a Latin American female artist named Maria Grever. And so I'm first going to sing them in Spanish, just because it makes you feel nice. And it was the original language, and then we'll translate into the popular version Dinah Washington first made popular a long, long time ago, right? Yeah, okay, there's a song called What a Difference a Day Made. And think about the lyrics as if you're singing them to the infinite, like with divine realization. ¿Recuerdas aquel beso que en broma me negaste? Se escapó de tus labios sin querer. Asustada por él, busco abrigo en la inmensa amargura de mi ser. Cuando vuelva a tu lado, no me niegues tus besos, que el amor que te he dado no podrás olvidar. No me preguntes nada, que nada he de explicarte, que el beso que negaste ya no lo puedes dar. Cuando vuelva a tu lado y estés sola consigo, las cosas que te digo no repitas jamás. Por compasión, une tu labio al mío, estrechame en tus brazos y cuenta los latidos de nuestro corazón. Difference a day made. 24 little hours. You could do the jazz club thing. You could go if you like. Brought the sun and the flowers where there used to be rain. My yesterday was blue deep. Today I am part of you, dear. My lonely days are through, dear, since you said you were mine. What a difference a day made. There's a rainbow before me, skies above can't be stormy. Even in Columbus, since that moment of bliss, that moment of bliss, it's heaven when you find divine romance on your menu. What a difference a day made. That difference is you. It's heaven when you find divine romance on your menu. What a difference a day made. That difference is you. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to do the talk thing. Spin around. Put this here.
Yeah, that was fun. Thank you. All right. So it's heaven when you find, and I stuck the word divine romance, so obviously not one up, but let's read against the bed. So at least once a month will be a jazz Sunday. There'll be a Jesse Powers Sunday, a jazz Sunday, a kirtan Sunday. So if you have an idea for a song that we could do on a jazz Sunday that you can sing yourself back to the infinite with, send it to us at info@soulcallglobal.org. Don't be shy. We could sing anything. We could play anything. We got it, right? All right. So this morning, just talking about simple and simplicity and surrender to intuition. So a simple definition of surrender, I know a lot of times that word is not a real popular one. Like the first time perhaps maybe we're introduced to the word surrender, it might be in elementary school when we're learning about invasions and wars and surrender. And the patriarchy would have us believe that surrender is weak, right? But if we consider that it takes a great act of will to know when there's a better way of doing something, or a more powerful resource we could use and develop to become a consistent part of our character and the way we proceed with the things we want to do. So capturing the notion, letting your mind surrender to the larger spirit, the cosmic force that is available to us all the time. In the words of Jesus, you would hear, "Be still and know that I am God." Stop all these restless thoughts and be with God. I think St. Paul said that. Just let all these things cease and allow intuition to inform us, to inform me, to inform you. That it's beyond the still small voice. But a really fun definition of surrender is it's a gift that we already possess. Intuition and surrender. We already possess these simple gifts, is the name of the talk today. It's like simple gifts. We already have them. It's not something we need to acquire. They're already in there. It's just clearing away. Clouds above, can't be stormy. Just clearing away all of these ideas that were piled on. It's like even in, it's football season today. It's a big playoff day if you're out there watching football. And if there's a late hit, maybe the tackle is made and some player comes and dives on the top of the pile at the end. It's called piling on, and it's an offense. Usually a penalty and some yardage is awarded to the opposing team. So allowing the idea of don't allow your thoughts to pile on, unpiling. And after the play is made, you see everybody like unstacking themselves and getting upright again. Pulling all this stuff away from your intuition. You were already born with these simple gifts. Peeling it all away so that you can remember how to live from the truth of who you are, who I am. And each one of us is different. We have a little different programming that is essential to the whole. Everywhere around us, once you're onto it, you see it everywhere, and it becomes almost laughable. You see people laughing like a loon when they become realized, because it's like, oh my God, it's been trying to show me in a million different ways. Everything. Same with, I know it's only the end of January, but thinking ahead towards maybe late March, when we start thinking about spring and our plants. If you're a gardener, you might step outside and start tending to the flower beds, pulling away some of the debris that's, piled up over, making way. You're clearing it all for what you know you planted. Maybe you planted tulips, daffodils. They're going to be coming up soon. They're in there. So what I'm asking you to do this morning is to remember that this key to the intuition, the key to the voice, that cosmic vibration, which is the voice of God, you already have it. Clear away like you would the flower bed It's already been planted in there, and let it blossom. Let it blossom. And just like that too, I'm not sure about you, I have a really big yard. I as one person, is very, very difficult to keep after. But I get on some of these things, the first of spring, you always just feel like, yes, and you get out there and overdo it.
Yeah.
You can't do it all in a day. I can't do it all in a day. And when I do, boy, I feel it. But it's that slow and steady, and maybe there's one day a week where I know I've got 3 hours. I could really get out there and tear into this thing. I plan my 3 hours where I'm gonna go. It's the same with meditation. It's cultivating, maybe I do an hour a day, an hour a day, an hour a day, but I have 3 hours on Saturday that I know I can really make some progress, clearing the flower bed of my soul. Because I know the intuition is in there and it's about ready to blossom. I don't know when it's going to do it. Do we really know when the flowers are going to bloom? Not really. We have a sense, but you can have that sense about the blossoming of your own spirit and the divine intuitive voice too. You don't know exactly when it's going to happen, like the Bible also says, no one knows the date and the time, right? Because there's no such thing as time. But it'll happen if we give it proper attention. So my definition for surrender is keeping the mind on God or the infinite. Surrender. Just always keep in the background of your mind. That was one simple thing we were talking about a couple weeks ago. Just let the background of your mind, I say, idle on God. When you're not thinking about anything else, it goes right to, oh, God. And it's a lot like the Om. It's a lot like that. So another way I say to describe intuition is try to explain to people, you've all had these intuitive hits, especially if you're parents, you know your kids, right? Or you just have an intuition. Have you ever experienced intuition about something? You just knew it, but you didn't think it, and it just popped in.
Yes.
Everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere. So the way I describe that is, it comes from the realm of non-vibratory communication. It's beyond thought, non-vibratory. There was no wave that came across like, oh, I just thought of something. It was like in your mind and you don't even know where it came from. Intuition, right? All of a sudden you can see it, and I just activated my, talking with my hands. Yeah, I gotta be really careful with this new camera, I love it. So for example, yesterday, as a matter of fact, this happens often, when you're onto it, it's onto you. Into it is onto it, and then it gets onto you. I was walking somebody through the Dempsey Event Center yesterday, and showing them room by room, and this young man, the groom-to-be, all of a sudden, I noticed that I was noticing something about him, and it was not a thought, it was just like, I said, oh, you're an architect. And the whole family just stopped, and he's like, I am an architect. How did you know that? And his fiancée said, did you tell her that? And nobody had told me that. I said, no, and then I had to think about how I knew that. It just popped in, and before I could even think about what I was about to say, I said it. And it was a fun moment, but it was just like a simple realization. I said, actually, then I had to backtrack it. So the intuition came in first, but then I backtracked how I could explain how I knew this without saying, oh, my intuition is really scaring people go like running out the door like the little, you have the little silhouette of the person running through the door like the Frankenstein. I just set it off again. I just said, no, I guess it's the way you were paying careful attention to every room and looking at every little detail. I wasn't thinking that I was thinking that, but something else in the background of my mind was the God of me wanted to connect with him to recognize. So think of a time you've done that. It comes in from a place that is not in your vibrational thought. And that's where you can operate from most often. I'm going to read something to you from The Holy Science. It is written by Paramahansa Yogananda. If I can see it. Can somebody hold this? Oh. Okay. Thus it is by intuition that God can be realized in all its aspects. We have no sense that can reveal knowledge of the infinite. The senses give knowledge only to the infinite's manifestations. So I'm going to say that again. We have no sense that can reveal knowledge of God. The senses give knowledge only of God's manifestations. Right? No thought or inference can enable us to know God as God truly is. For thought cannot go beyond the data of the senses. Thought cannot go beyond the data or the information pulled in by the senses. Thought can't do it, but intuition can. Does this make sense? All right, am I losing you? So when the senses are unable, thought, which depends upon them, is also unable to bring us to God. So it's intuition that we shall have to turn to for the knowledge and feel this bliss. It's heaven when you find romance, divine romance on your menu. Like when you have time to sit, if you can get this idea that when we sit in meditation, we're sitting at the feet of the infinite who's been waiting for us. It's kind of like being called to dinner. Somebody prepared this whole meal, and I don't know about you, but I'm not far from the dinner call. You know? But when you go and you sit down, it's like it's already been prepared for you. All you have to do is show up. You have access to the intelligence of the cosmos and the love of the cosmos, mostly. Just show up. Just come to the table of that and sit and let it talk to you. Like you would anyone. You go get a cup of coffee with somebody or lunch just to try to communicate, and just go sit, and it's always waiting for you. It's never, how about Tuesday at 3, I'm busy on. It's never too busy. It's always there. So it's like the seat of your soul is waiting. So that's it. It's there for all of us. It's never too late to mend. Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. That's Matthew 7:7. Seek and you shall find. So just recognizing it's always there. And then I got this from a book of Revelations, but it's taken from the Quran. Kabir Helminski comprised all of this, and it's kind of like the surahs are kind of like verses, but like the Psalms. If you read Psalms from the Bible, they're just beautiful, inspiring verses, one after the other. But this one is, make no divisions within it, within the cosmic sphere of God. Make no divisions within it. And do not break up your unity therein. The only religion in the sight of God is self-surrender to God. If one goes in search of a religion other than self-surrender to God, it will never be accepted from the infinite. In other words, there are variations on the theme, and they can help stimulate us, but the ultimate is the surrender to the infinite itself. And dare I say, and don't think it happens sooner than it does, but you become your own little walking religion, right? But don't become a little ball of dogma, right? Just recognizing your truth is from the infinite truth, and if it doesn't harm, if it follows all the commandments, all the yama niyamas, if you're from the Hindu philosophy, all the do's and the don'ts that allow for a co-creation of sorts, for all things to thrive, all sentient beings to thrive, then you're on the right track. And it doesn't mean that people are going to always see it that way. Again, if you're a catalyst for change and you're hired to come in and change a system and you come in and do it, how many friends do you have right off the bat? Only the ones who stay who really meant it, or who had the ability to stand amidst the vibratory shifts that were happening. And it's not many, even if they say they're the ones that want it. Yeah, let's bring this one in. Then all of a sudden it starts to shift and change, where the vibration gets higher and people fall away, right? Kind of like, since we're working on kidneys, like pulverizing kidney stones with a laser. It's because the vibratory rate of that pure laser light is thousands of times higher than the density of a stone. So sometimes people feel like as dense as a stone, but it's not. It's only if we're trying to relate to them with reason. If you start with the language of love, it becomes a lot easier. Doesn't mean it always feels great at the beginning. Doesn't always feel so great. There was a great saint who was always criticized by one person, a great saint in India. And whenever the saint, no matter what the saint did, the critic found fault with the saint. So one day the saint's disciples came running to him and said, "Master, we have wonderful news for you. Your greatest critic is dead." At this, the saint said, "Oh, that is very sad. I have lost my dearest friend. Because of him, I could always keep my mind on God." Right? So think about it. It helps us to turn inward to, like, who am I doing this for? Like I check myself every day. Am I doing this for my little self, or am I doing this for the infinite? If you could trace it all the way back, and you know why you're stepping forth and why you're doing the things you're doing, and who you serve, I would ask myself that question. I still do. I check in with myself. Who am I serving here? Am I serving my highest good? With my coaching clients, that's like the biggest question we ask most often, is defining what's your highest good, and then defining ways to make sure that it can keep evolving, right? So that when we reach some pinnacle thing and think, now what? It reminds me that I recorded lots of CDs, recordings over the years, and I remember the very first one I finished was in the early 90s, and that's a recording called Balance. And I remember driving from the recording engineer's house across the bridge back to my house, and halfway across the bridge, I guess because I was a little suspended between worlds, when you're on a bridge, it's kind of fun like that. I just had this feeling like, oh my God, I could die now. My whole life is finished. I wanted to record, part of my songs. I could die, and it wasn't a linear conscious thought. It was just a feeling like, oh my God, I'm done. Little did I know, I was like, nope, you're not done. A little bit longer. Another one is from the Mahabharata, which is part of the great works of India, like the Bhagavad Gita's in there and the Hindu scriptures. There was another great master, and he would always ask, he did something great for Lord Krishna. And everybody thought, man, as soon as he served Krishna like that, surely he can ask Krishna for a great favor and it'll be granted. So they huddled around to see what this wonderful servant was going to ask Krishna for. And like, what an example. What's he going to get? Right?
Right.
And he said, she said, actually, grant me, O Krishna, enough troubles so that my mind is always centered on you. So, wise people search for that lasting bliss, that lasting happiness, not for a temporary sense pleasure, right? I don't want wealth, I don't want fame, I don't want these things that are fleeting. Just please keep me close. And I don't know if you've ever noticed it, but like a prayer Edika and I would always say, and things we would always do, is when somebody paid us, we realized we both did this for years before we met each other, and I still do. If somebody pays me a compliment, I just kind of do this. I never take it personally, because I learned a long time ago, like, blame or praise are the same. They're temporary, and they're not really mine. So if you keep them all in the same category, blame is sweet, and praise a dream. When thy song flows through me, when thy song flows through me, and health is sweet, sickness is a dream, right? So keeping that divine song, and it's a slow, steady practice, just like slowing it down. I remember being in Turkey. We were in Istanbul. No, we were in Konya, which was where Rumi's mosque is. It's where Rumi and his family fled to when they were fleeing from persecution. And so that's where he was, and that's where he did most of his teaching. In later years was in Konya. There's a music store there. It's called Dervish Brothers Music Store. And the first time I heard the ney flute, it sounds a little bit like what Helen was playing today, but it's N-E-Y. It's a reed flute, and it's played in Turkey. I had to have it. It just, nothing moved me quite like the sound of this flute. And so we were right in the middle of where the best ney flutes were made. So I'm like, oh my God. So we went in, and I was trying out these ney flutes. They're very, very hard to get one note out of. So Kabir, the sheikh, was like, see if you can play one. I was like, okay, not like, mean, but just go ahead. And so I picked up what they call a kizne. It's a little smaller, and you can hold it. If you're a female and don't have great big hands, it's easier to hold. And I picked it up, and I just played like boo-doo-doo-doo-doo, and then I boo-doo-doo-doo-doo, boo-doo-doo-doo-doo, and everybody in the store just went whoosh, turned around. I didn't know why I could play it. I used to play the French horn, so I treated it to that. No, that turned into a thing, so I had to go sit with this guy who was deemed kind of like a saint. Ney Zen, that's what they call great ney players. So he helped me find the flute that was going to be mine. And he tried to get me to play this very low, it's a D. If you could play the low D on the ney, it's the foundation for the rest of it. So, and I was putting too much breath into it. I was pushing too hard. And I remember this always because what he said was slowly, slowly, gently, gently. So if you just slowly, slowly, gently, gently, I got the low D. And it was like, great, right? So in my mind, I share this with you because anytime I'm trying to rush or force something, or it requires great spiritual perseverance, patience, where I can't see how this is going, I just know, my intuition tells me I'm on the right track, I just can't possibly see how this all works. I hear Ali Effendi in the back of my mind saying, slowly, slowly, gently, gently. And then you can make beautiful music with the infinite. But it's that patience. It's that patience. And intuition, from a saint like that, he picked up the ney, and this was shortly after my father had passed away. And he was blind, but he got this really childish, kind of playful smile on his face, and he said, okay, give me your ney. And before you hand your ney over, it's such a sacred instrument that you kiss it, and you hand it to someone, and they kiss it and hand it back. You never just hand it over, which is so, because it's the breath of God, and it's just a really sacred thing. But anyway, the story goes, he picked it up, and he started to play Santa Lucia. It's a famous song in Italy. It was my father's favorite song. And he said, I will play something for you, you will like it very much. And he played it, and I was like, oh, I started crying, because I felt like in my open heart, my father was able to come in and be in that. So it's that opening of our hearts. The more we keep our hearts open, 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 the more we feel lucky, the more things line up, the more love we bring in. So even if something's coming that's challenging, send love and light in the direction, because it just creates, the more love and light you send, the more there is. And it might help the person who needs to find it at that moment. You don't need to be responsible for it, but you need to be responsible for your own consciousness, as I am for mine. Just keeping it clear. Just keeping it clear. So, so you can say, tell God, I will not ask you for anything. You sustain me according to your will. I want this, I want that is okay at the beginning, but as we grow, Yogananda says, we must more and more surrender. That gift of surrender to the infinite. So in the mornings I'll say, less of me, more of thee. Less of me, less of me, less of me. Until I'm almost invisible. Right? So you can be there and just be a conduit for this all the time. The Wizard of Oz, what did the witch write across the sky? Surrender, Dorothy. She had to surrender to where she was. She was not in Kansas anymore. A whole new shift in consciousness, and the whole place turned in color. Like after I have 2 sips of coffee, the world is in color. Yeah. A whole new world, right? But just making sure from that realm of non-vibratory communication or intuition, we know that we are always in the sight of the infinite, and that spiritual surrender, just allowing it to volley realizations. So like songs, we pull them from, they're just there. And if we open to it, we can compose things from our technical side. We've learned how to become technicians of instruments. But I don't know about you, the great artists aren't the ones who are the technicians of sound. They are artists because they make us feel with their notes. They fill them. As when I would direct the choirs, I would say presence every note. Make me feel something. Don't just hit it. I want to feel it, right? So whatever it is that you're being called to do, the simplicity, the simple gift is your intuition. And like anything else, just give it some time and patience. Clear the way. John the Baptist came first. Prepare ye the way of the Lord, the infinite. Make way, clear it out, and allow yourself to experience that luck, that cosmic vibration, which is the truth of who you are. It's never changed, even amidst the ever-changing world. Thank you. So now we're going to sing a song called Lucky So-and-So. And this is a post-realization. Right? I guess you could turn that light on since we're here. But I appreciate you being on it. Because you're all here, and they're all there. And you were there, and you were there.
Speaking of the Wizard of Oz. Never mind. Okay. 1, 2, 3. If you know this one, sing it. As I walk down the street, seems everyone I meet gives me a friendly hello. I guess I'm just a lucky so-and-so. The birds in every tree, they sing so heavenly. They sing wherever I go. I guess I'm just a lucky so-and-so. If you should ask me the amount in my bank account, I have to admit it's slipping. But that don't worry me, 'cause confidentially I've got a dream, and it's a pippin'. And when the day is through, each night I hurry to a home where love waits. I know. I guess I'm just a lucky so-and-so. Yeah, don't I know? At the bridge. If you should ask me the amount in my bank account, I have to admit it's slipping. But that don't worry me, 'cause confidentially I got a dream, and it's a pippin'. And when the day is through, each night I hurry to a home where love waits. I know. I guess I'm just a lucky so-and-so. Oh, I'm so lucky. I'm just a lucky so-and-so.
That's the way we do it here at Soul Call Sunday. We want to thank you for joining us this morning. Let's hear it again for Ben Maloney, who's with us. We'll be here again next month. Thank you, Helen Yee, for the wonderful Chi. Chi with Yee. And I want to remind everyone that starting February 21st, it is my class called The Essential Mystics, using the book by Andrew Harvey. You can sign up right now at soulcallglobal.org, and it's going to be 8 weeks, because I always do 6 and people say it needs to be longer. So I'm going to do that. But come as often as you can, but we're going to be using the Essential Mystics book and help you to clear the path of consciousness that makes you realize you're magical, mystical yourself. And that's what they were all trying to say. So we'd like to thank you also for your donations. We've got a food drive coming up February the 26th. It's our annual food drive. Thank you, Joy McPherson. All right. And so your contributions will help us to help supplement the food we purchase and help families who are desperately in need. Inflation has really, we thought, the pandemic was bad, and it was, but it continues for a lot of people struggling to make ends meet. So this is something we do twice a year. Ours is coming up February 26th. If you have a little extra and you could share, please soulcallglobal.org/donate. You'll find that, and if you're in the house, we've got little collection baskets for you around, and we thank you for your contributions. Every cent that comes through in February is going to go to that food drive. So thank you in advance. We've been able to do really amazing things with that. It's really, really great. Lots and lots of food. The 26th. And let's see what else. Prayers. If you are in need of healing or being reminded of your inherent wholeness, please send us an email at prayers@soulcallglobal.org. SoulCall.org. We've got Reverend Bonnie Anderson heading up our prayer team, who's doing a fantastic job with, Candy and Linda and lots of people on the Healing Arts team, not only just sending Reiki, but other forms of healing energy that comes your way, and you can actually feel that little sizzle in your cells, like that little jolt of remembering. So getting ahead of things here, please mark down on your calendars. Everybody's buzzing now, right? March 24th, we're going to have a Mystic Cafe open mic and talent show. So mark it down. There's going to be some information coming in the newsletter and on the website next week. But I want you to get that date down. It'll be Friday, March 24th. We're going to thank Lisa Lawing and Bob Lippitz for heading up that committee. But it's going to be loads of fun. If you have a talent, if you're a juggler, I'm waiting for a juggler. It's going to be really amazing. 3/24. So start your practicing. You've got plenty of time now, and let us know. And then Wednesday evenings, we've been doing our Wednesday evening meditations from 7 to 8 p.m. So the link is on the website. Meditation is the way to help uncover that intuition. Since we can't fully know God with only our senses, we turn those off in meditation and go deep into the language of the soul. And that's what gets us to that realization that we are always connected to the source and to each other. So Wednesday night, 7 to 8. The next 2 months, February and March, we're not going to do Kirtan Wednesday, but every Wednesday we'll do regular meditation. But we'll pick that up again in April. So I want to thank you again for joining us. Please share us with your friends, on Facebook. Circulate our offerings if you don't mind, and subscribe to us on YouTube. We've got some really fun things coming up that we're going to launch in March, so stay tuned. But wherever you are and whatever it is you're into or being faced with, the challenge to help you remember to stay centered on God, that's why sometimes they come. Remember always, want to say it with me? You are loved. Peace and blessings.
One family, one people, one planet, one love.